So here is some description about what is a test case, how to write test cases, some example of how a test case looks, and what are the different types you can write a test case and those things. So we in depth like what is a test case and test scenarios and those things. So the thing is like as a QA, you are expected to write test cases for the user stories. So you should be able to write the test cases, and this should be testing the functionality of the test, like the user stories that are in those print like which you are working on. So that is a major goal of writing a test case. So this is something like it's like a small test plan for a user story. So let's see what is a test case, and let's go from. So if you see here, by definition, a test case is the smallest unit of testing plan. So it is something like a smallest unit of testing plan for a particular functionality, which includes a description of necessary actions and parameters to achieve and verify the expected behavior of a particular function or part of tested software. What does that mean is, to keep it simple, something like you're validating something. You're writing saying that if I do this should happen. If I do this should happen. So you are validating a behavior. So you are verifying whether the behavior is met or not. So that is about a test case. Test case is something like you write description of actions. In one side you are writing actions, what you are doing, and what parameters are you are passing. And the other side what you are checking is the expected behavior. So in one side it is action, and another side it is expected behavior of a particular function or particular software tested. So that is that. And if you have asked to achieve some functionality, you can create a test script or a user story. So you need to understand where to start testing, which general steps need to be executed, and what the result should be, and those things. And this scenario, like let us take one scenario. Like we can have the test cases into different things, positive test cases, negative test cases, localization, and other types of test cases like we can have. We will see about this clearly in the next slide for this part. Okay. For now, just to take consideration, test case is something like you have necessary actions on one side and parameters on the other side. So parameters and necessary actions on one side and expected behavior on the other side, and you are checking the functionality whether it is or not. So this is about the test case. So this is nothing to do with it for now. So next, coming to here, how to first let's take an example like something like we create a test scenario like something like let us think some functionality is like you are uploading photos. So example like uploading photos. So uploading photos is there some user story that need to be tested. So how you gonna write a test scenario for that? So you write something like this: a user must be logged in, then move to the upload photos page, click the upload button, select the photos, upload them, and last is the functionality of uploading photos. So these are the things. So these are the things we do generally to do uploading photos, to test uploading photos. We do these 6 steps. So these six steps we do to do the uploading photos. So this is something like a test scenario. So for this, if you wanna write a test case, for how you gonna write. So now the scenario should be divided into detailed test cases. So first you having a scenario. Scenario is something like some list of steps that are going to be performed to achieve a functionality. So that's like a list of steps. So for this scenario, like having you discover the scenario, you should be next. So what you should be doing is you should be writing the detailed cases for them. So how to write them? The thing is like check the user possibility to go to the upload photos page. So these are all test cases. So I'm just numbering them. So first thing you will be saying that
because
here. Yeah.
I'm not able to see your screen and your voice is little breaking.
Okay.
And for me, it's the first PPT, the test case itself.
So I don't know, my internet got slow, man. It's with the next. So today we're gonna discuss about test cases. So we started with test case. So what is the description of a test case? To put it like in a simple definition, we can say a test case is a smallest unit of testing plan. So what you are testing is a smallest unit of some part of software, that is some functionality you are testing. So you are testing a part of software, that is a small function. And what you are going to do is you're going to write two things for that testing plan. One is you are going to write what are the actions and what are the parameters that you are going to use for the testing that thing. And in the other side, you're going to evaluate with some expected behavior. So you're going to write, you're saying that when I click this and I give these parameters, I should expect this. So when I do this with these things, I should expect this. So you're saying giving the action and the necessary parameters on one side, and the other side what you are doing is you are evaluating the software, what is your expected behavior or expected result. So this is what you are going to do with the test cases. So how to write the test case, and what are the things you need to consider, and what is the mechanism that goes behind the test case, and how to do it is let us see that. So in order to write a test case, first what you need to do is you need to design some test scenario. So test scenario is broadly classifying a test case into some steps. So for example, if you take the user story like uploading the photos, you want to develop a test scenario for uploading the photos. So this is the thing you are going to do for uploading photos story. So first you will write a test scenario. So what the test scenario will look like? It will look like something like this. It will look like something like these 6 steps. Like user must be logged in, then move to the uploads photos page, then click on upload button. Then what you do, you will select the photos, upload them. At last, test the functionality of uploading photos. So this is what you do to do the uploading photos. So this is called test scenario. So one scenario you are doing. So one scenario means one.
Cannot see
one
the PPT because
you can't see.
yeah. No, now I can see.
Yeah. So what you are doing is to upload photos, what you are gonna do is you're gonna write a test scenario, and this is the test scenario that you're gonna write. So you're gonna break down that uploading photos into 6 steps. So these are the 6 steps that you're gonna do. So first step is the user must be logged in. Something like users should be logged in. then move to the uploads photo page, then click on the upload button, then select the photos, upload them, at last test the functionality of uploading photos. So this is what you do. So this is one test scenario. Then what the scenario means exactly means one line or one path of testing. So you're gonna do many things without logging in. You wanna try to access the uploads page, and there are many other scenarios which you can do, which shouldn't work also. Some scenarios should work also. Something like there might be something like selecting one photo at a time, selecting multiple photos at a time, selecting different types of PNG images, GIF images, JPEG images. So everything is like a different test scenario. You got it? So everything like a different test scenario, or you can also keep it as test cases. So first the thing is like you're gonna write one path of functionality that you want to test. So this is up to the user to write the test scenario. So there is nothing like everybody writes the test scenario in the same way. You're gonna write it in a one way, and the other person is gonna write it in a different way. So it is up to you how you're gonna test the software. So it is you gonna design the test scenarios, what you wanna test it. So this is how a test scenario for uploading photos looks like. Based on this test scenario, we're gonna develop the test cases. So this is the first thing, something like a outline. And after we make the test scenario, we will go into the test cases for a given scenario. So after we got a test scenario, now the scenario should be divided into detailed test cases. So we need to divide this scenario into detailed test cases. How to divide them? So in order to divide them, what you have to do is like here are the 10 points where we can use divide that test scenario into different test cases. So somebody, hello, are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, Vikas, I can.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something like test cases for a given scenario. So now this scenario should be divided into detailed test cases. So how we're gonna divide is, first we need to check that logged user possibility is go to your uploads page or not. Means first we are checking that whether that user is able to go into the uploads page. If it is he or she is logged in, and if not logged in, then they should not go also. So this is the next thing. And next, check whether the user can click the upload button. That is the next thing. Is it opens a form to select a photo and possibly to close it? So can we do all the things? Next, what happens if you do not select photos? Choose another file format. Something like we select other things. What it should do? Choose photos of maximum size and so on. So these are all the criteria that go into. Next, we'll say check possibility of uploaded photos. So can we really upload the photos? Check if photo is saved in the database or not. Possible to reload and delete the photos. Can we reload it and delete the photos? What happens with the photos in the case of disappearance of internet or device is switched off? Something like you are in middle of uploading and device got switched off. Will it saves or will it deletes them, or what it should do? And all the buttons displayed correctly on the correctly at another location or different operating systems, if anything different. Something like is the user experience is going to be remained same for the different operating systems and different device sizes and different browsers and those things. So UI wise it is looking the same, or UI experience is good like irrespective of the device size or something like that. So these are the test cases for a given scenario. See, scenario looks very small, whereas going to the test cases, it is very detailed, very brief, and you need to write all the criteria, all the possibilities what that you're going to test for that scenario. So this is about test cases. So test cases will look like this. So having understood like a test scenario and test cases, you can think like test scenario is just an outline, whereas test cases is something like a detailed cases for that scenario. And next, moving on to next, and so on. There are a number of test cases depend on the experience and the imagination of tester. So it depends totally on the imagination of tester and the requirement of the software also. something like somebody says like 24 MB is the highest size, and somebody say 5 MB is the highest size. Therefore, it depends. So therefore, the process of writing test cases starts from the forming a test scenario or user story, and then it can be divided to check different occasions or cases. So it starts from the scenario. So from the test scenario is the test scenario is the first starting step for writing a test cases. So first you need to write test scenario, then afterwards you can go into the test cases. So like an experienced tester can directly write the test cases. For them there is no need to write the test scenario. But for an inexperienced or for the new guy or amateur guy, then they need to write the test scenarios, and then based on the test scenarios they can perfectly build the test cases. So that's about these things. And next, moving on to a structure of a test case. So you may not be able to see this, but I'm just improving the size of it to make you see that. Sorry. Are you able to see it now? Hello?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. So a structure of a test case. So what all information you need to include while writing a test case. So we'll say like please write a test case, or somebody says, so how you should structure the test case. What all information you can put into the test case. What are the fields you need to consider while creating a test case. So this is something like a list of fields. Generally they include while writing the test case, but this is not limited to this list. There can be a number of things you can also include into the test case depending on the situation. But also there is something like you may write the test case very simple. It depends totally on like how descriptive and how lengthy and how many test cases you gonna end up with, and how you want to track them and those things. Something like you have a big software, then and you need to have the track of all the test cases. Then you have to consider more fields. And if it is something like a small system, you can just omit the fields that are not required, and you can directly go with limited fields. So it depends totally upon the software that you are building and its requirement. So let us start here with the test case fields and descriptions. So a test case might have a test case ID. So what is this? This is an unique ID to identify what is like the test case. And next we're gonna come with the test priority. So what is the priority? The priority says that whether this test case should be executed or not, or whether this test should be tested or not, or something like, or is it a very high priority or low priority, or like medium priority, so that is a priority. Next, who designed this test case, like the tester name and the date of test design, when they has designed this, and text executed way. Like you can design a test case and some other QA can test it, and some other QA can design the test case and you can test it. So that is about like who designed this test case and who executed this test case. And next, date of the time of execution. And next, what we have is name or test title. Something like, for a test case you can also have a name saying to like a title, something like, by looking at the title you should be able to say, okay, this test case is about this one. You can say like password validation, or you can say something else. So that is about the test case title. And after that, like detailed description of that test case, like what you're gonna do, what are the steps that you're gonna follow, and those things. And next, after the description, you will be having a precondition, something like what before executing the test case, what you should perform. So that is about the test case. So that test case precondition. And afterwards, you will go into test steps and test data. Test steps, in the steps, like we already saw the test steps. So what are the steps you need to do in order to perform that action? And test data is the parameters that you need to provide, or the test data, or I can say like like whatever the data that is required to perform that test, that is called test data. So something like test scripts is scripts that you're gonna do or execute in order to perform the test cases. And next we have is test data. After test steps and test data, you will see like expected results and post condition. So expected result is the like this is something like action, test steps is an action, test data is parameters, and expected results is that is the verification or what you are tallying with. So this is something like an expected result. So you will mention like what result you need to have like for with respect to the test steps that are provided. Then afterwards you will be having like post condition. So after doing all this, you need to do this so that you will know that the result or something like that. So that is the post condition. Then afterwards what you have is status. So what the status is like, you will write the test scenarios, but initially you will not write whether it is a fail or pass. Once you execute, like once you tested these all test cases and scenarios and you think like everything is good, then only you will make it as pass. If not, you will say you will keep it as a fail. And the other thing is like some comments, you can also provide questions or some other things. And then the requirements, like you will provide the requirements for that expected result. So you will write what are the notes, and then afterwards you will go for a list of requirements for particular test cycle. Sometimes like a requirement is may not be related, but sometimes they will write. Then afterwards, last you will see like attachments and references. Like some other like files you need to refer, some like UI screens you may have, or some data screens, or some other screens you think like you should refer like in order to see like like what's the test scenario or how to develop a test scenario. Then those are the requirement files, attachments, and the reference documents you can have. Then next, automation. Then you will mention whether the test cases, whether this test case is automated or you are yourself going to test it. So this is about a test structure of a test case. So what you are writing essentially is, so you are writing the test case ID, priority, who designed it, and when they designed it, and who executed it, and when they executed it. Then afterwards, what is the title, and then you will see like after the title, like you will see the summary, precondition, test steps, test data, post data, expected results, post condition, and the status of that thing, and you will see notes, requirements, attachments, and automation. So this is all the things that includes a test case. So in order to write a test case, you should know what each and everything in this. So going into that, and going into the types of test cases, like there are majorly like we can divide the test cases into two types, and there are also other types, but let us discuss these types. Like there is a positive test case first. So what are these test cases? These are the test cases aimed at checking the correct operation of the claimed functionality using the correct input format specified for the software documentation. Something like, what does that mean is, let us think your password will be having some ASCII values to be entered, and something like some numbers to be entered, like only numbers to be entered, or some size length should be entered. So that is a thing. Then what you, the positive test case is this test case executing whatever in the path that everything works fine and you will be executed in the same condition. And the positive is something like you are testing like the claimed functionality. That means like you are testing the positive, like the working scenario, or I can say like the most valuable part that you are going to test. And after that, like for example, you take a positive test cases to check the right formulas of the emails with the which must meet the following requirements. The thing is like it should be like the first thing is like positive test cases to check all the formats of emails, so whether they meet the requirements or not. Then you can see that the first part of the email address before @ may contain any number of the ASCII characters, any of these ASCII values, and the Latin regardless of these kind, and numbers should be 0 to 9, and special characters should be these things, and the point. But if it is nothing than other characters, then afterwards like a special, like all these are something like the different scenarios you're going to test to provide the hard password for that test cases. So these all things you write, and this is something like you are writing the positive test case. So you are writing what exactly need to be tested on those things. Whereas coming to the negative test case is a different kind, like whether you check like you are anticipated every possible situation that should lead to the error message. Also, this type of test case includes a verification that lead to the unexpected situations in those that were detailed in the documentation. So the thing is like test case, negative test case, you are testing the test cases which shouldn't work or which shouldn't be working. Something like you logged into a system, you went into a page and you logged out, then you should not be able to log into that system again. So this is one of the case. And yeah, next boundary value. Like you can also, there is also something like a boundary value. You can check, like you are going to check that whether the system is working within the expected boundary or not, or whether it is failing in the boundary or something like all those things you're gonna check. Then after this, like you're gonna do the integration test cases. So this checks the connection between the different parts of the application. Like when you join different parts of the application, whether those are working or not, then you go. That's the thing you're gonna test with the integration test. So these tests are required, but the thing is like you have to describe them. You can write the test cases to your check that the appearance of the data entered into the another part of the software is right or not, something like. So these are the things you're gonna do. Something like you're gonna check the connections, like how each of the systems are interacting with each other. So we already saw the integration test cases. So see here, unit test, like each individual unit is working fine, but when they are integrated into together into one unit, they are not working fine. So that is about unit testing. So you will test before like in the unit testings also, like test cases. So that's about 4 different types of test cases, but there are others also. Like this is the general form that we will use for writing the test cases. So I will just so here you can see the example 1. So this example 1, like how can you, like how you are going to write this is like I have provided here 4 examples. So each is a different style of writing a test case. So you can write here a test case in this way, or like either of them, it depends. So F5. So it is very convenient in case whether the tester needs to be record a great detail of each step or well suited to the test, whether to the test case where the test cases are made for a new testers. It will help them to cover the product by quality test and do not miss any important data. So something like you have to write like the project name is this one, and the test case ID, some test case ID, and test who is designed it and when they designed it and who executed and when they executed. What is the priority and what is the module name and the title and the description and what you are going to do it. So that's what a test case very simple looks like. Whereas coming to the next just a minute, I also have something to be shown. You can also write here preconditions and post conditions. I don't know why I'm not able to. Yeah. So you can write preconditions and post conditions. What are the preconditions means? Like the conditions that are executed before the test case, and the post conditions and the dependencies is something like you have to do those things also. And coming to the steps, so you will write the steps like a test step and a test data, what you're going to provide, what is the expected result, actual result, what is the status, and what is the notes. So this is something like all the steps what you are going to do within that test case you're going to write. So I don't know, I'm not able to get it. Yeah, so this way I can get it. So this is way how you can write the test steps, and test steps include test steps and test data, results, expected result, actual result, like standard, that is they pass the test or not. So the next thing is like we will jump on to the next type of test case, that is called example 2. In this example 2 you can clearly see this is the simplest one of the simplest form of writing the test case. So in the example 2 test case you can see so this is something like we are limiting the size of the test case. So in this test case, the test case ID, we are writing test description, who created it, and reviewed by, and what is the version. We are not recording the dates. We are just saying when it is tested, and what is the tester name, and what is the priority, or something like kind of such thing. And you will say what is the precondition and test data. Then you will write the test directly test. So this is something like a simpler way of writing the test case. Next verse. Next example 3. So what does so this test case you can see example I will increase the size. So if necessary this is another way of writing a test case. We are writing the same thing. We are writing the test case ID, priority, description, module, prepared by, tested by, date prepared, date tested. So here we changed the thing is like executed by and date of execution to tested by and date tested. Like all of them are same. The thing is like a number, step, description, what you are going to do, what is the expected result, and what is the actual result, and that's it. No pass or fail, and you generally gonna write the test whether it is passed or failed in the end. So you are not going to write for everything. So this is another way of writing the test cases. And the last way, that is the example 4. This example 4 like you can see, this is something like you are writing only the steps. You are not writing anything else. So you are just writing the steps, and so directly you are writing the steps. So what is the ID, what is the summary, what is the step, and expected actual result and notes. So this is something like example 4. So these are the different types of examples that are available for test cases. So you can choose either of them, and writing those depending on your need and how it should look and those things. So this is all about test cases and types of test cases, and how to write a text structure, and what goes into a text structure, and what like any other things that goes with along with the test cases. So next, going into, so that's all from my side today. And any doubts?
No, I'm good.
Chaitanya?
Hello.
Hello, Chaitanya. Do you have any doubts?
No doubts.
So the thing is like write a test case based on this any one of the scenario. Take your own test case and write some details or some test cases for that, and send me the test case example. So that should be like this is the thing that you're gonna do with the manual testing. So in the manual testing, you should be knowing like what are the different types of testing, and how to write a test case, and what is the difference between test scenario and test case, and like those things. So you almost know that what are the fields that are required. The thing is like what I have provided the examples is not something like every test case should look like either in all these four. It can look like anything actually. Like nobody is going to throw you out, or nobody is going to like different things like so it's up to you actually to like nobody is gonna throw anything at you like saying like why did you write the test case in this way or those things. So it's up to you're gonna design that test cases as per your wish. So that's the thing. Okay, so write some test cases and send me those test cases. Okay. Okay. How about you, Kaushik?
Yeah, because
So yeah.
Yeah, my marketing got started, and today I got a vendor call from friend. So he's asking me to come to face tomorrow.
Yeah, I know that. Just